welcome Brian to the Earache podcast and to Earache Records. How are you doing?
I am excited. Today is the release of the first single, and we are stoked to be with Earache. And I can't wait to see what we all do, you know, with getting the word out there and everything. It's a project that we're all very proud of, years in the making. So
yeah, and it's exciting for us. I know we're all huge Korn fans, especially Mike. Mike, I think Korn is your favourite band of all time, isn't it?
What? Yeah, it's certainly up there, mate. It's certainly up there.
Are you serious? Man?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That is amazing. Oh, what other bands do you like? You hear the new System stuff come out? It's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great that they're still doing stuff. To be honest, I mean, yeah, I'm into like literally everything, but Korn was like my teenage years all over, and then you carried on, and then I got into electronic music, and then you guys obviously did that Path Totality album, and that was absolutely insane, and then it's brought it back. Yeah, it's just albums, just strength to strength, new metal all over. So yeah.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
That's a fanboy out like too much.
we're both huge new metal fans. We were talking about this on the last episode of the podcast with Justin from Tala, but it's the metal that we grew up on, because you know it's what was big in the 90s, and that was our first introduction to metal. So you know it's really exciting to be doing Love and Death now. You know, doing the sort of music that is exactly your favorite kind of music. It's a dream, really.
That's so cool. That's so cool. We are honored to be with you guys, man, and look forward to see where we go with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, how is life with you at the moment? Obviously we're living in a weird year, aren't we? With everything that's going on.
You know what? It's really, I mean, especially in America, you know, and all over the world, but like this, it's been crazy with the pandemic has hit us harder than any country in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And as far as like the numbers, you know, but and then we have the racial, you know, tensions that happen, and now we're in the elections, and there's all this drama going on with the elections, and it's just like it's got to get better next year, right?
Yeah. I don't want to say it can't get worse, because it could get worse, but yeah, you think things are going to improve, don't you? It feels quite apocalyptic.
So, and yeah, in my frame of mind, I'm like, before all this happened, I'm thinking, okay, surely, you know, like one state or city in America could have a catastrophe or something, and you know, but I never thought the whole country could shut down, and then the whole world shut down, and all this, like, it just doesn't make sense. And to see I'm very like blessed, and you know, when I left, you guys know I left Korn for a while, and we had a massive real estate crash in 2008, and I had a hard time during that, you know. So this thing that happened, I was more prepared this time, you know, with the pandemic happening and everything, and just investing correctly and all that. And so I feel like very fortunate to be able to just kind of wait this out. But just the landscape of so many other people that are losing their jobs and trying to find the government to help them out. And some people are getting like massive help from the government, others are not. And so it's just really, it's all over the table. You know, there's issues all over the table. And so I feel bad for the world. And that's why that we've been working on this record for a few years now. Yeah. And everyone's so busy. We love the project. Everyone's so busy. And so, but this year freed our time up to really focus on the songs and bring in like 3 more songs to finish the record. And so, yeah, it's just a good outlet for us. And we want to give fans something that they can just, you know, something that can strengthen them at home, and just, you know, something to do at home and whatnot. And I was thinking about the Deftones and how they put their album out. And I was wondering, like, was that good for them to put their album out when there's no touring happening? You know, usually you go and tour in support of the record.
Yeah.
And I think that Deftones put it out just because they want to give something to their fans during this these uncertain times, you know? make people excited. And so that's how I feel now, that we're just stoked to give the, you know, some music, get some new music out there for the people that are really wanting it, you know? And so we're stoked, but life is okay. You know, we're moving forward, dealing with it the best we can. Just like you guys. I mean, what is life like for you? Has it changed much? Because people are consuming music probably more now, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's like you were saying. It's obviously a terrible thing that's gone on, but you have to sort of look on the positive side and count your blessings, really, because me and Mike have both still got our jobs, you know, still got a roof over our heads, and there's plenty of people out there that, you know, have lost their jobs and bills are stacking up and stuff like that. I just feel sorry for them, really. You got to look on the positive side. But in terms of like music, I mean, it's been a real kicker for us, because part of what we do at Earache is curate festival stages. And so we had 4 festival stages all lined up for this summer: Glastonbury, Boomtown, and a couple of other ones. And obviously they were all pulled, which was kind of gutting. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing really to people dying.
Have you done that over the years? This isn't a new thing, right, with the stages?
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively new. So when Earache turned 30 in 2017, to celebrate, we decided to kind of gate crash into Glastonbury. I don't know if you know too much about Glastonbury, but it's this festival where it's obviously huge and famous, and they kind of pride themselves on booking every single type of music under the sun, except they'd always forget one genre, which was metal. So we pointed out to them that it's like, yeah, exactly. We pointed out to them, it's like, look, you say you've got all kinds of music here, but we've counted the metal bands on your lineup, and it's like 0 or maybe 1 out of 2,000 bands. So we just offered to put it right for them, basically, and they were good enough and open-minded enough to let us do a stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. It was kind of like the biggest blag ever, to be honest. We just sort of found ourselves there. The first stage as well.
What was that?
That was in 2017, so 3 years ago.
Oh, it's relatively new. That's crazy.
Yeah, relatively new, but we booked Napalm Death. They were the first act on the
Whoa, you went big.
Yeah, exactly. We thought we got to go all out and really shock these Glastonbury hippies.
Wow.
And then it caused such a big splash that since then, quite a lot of other festivals that, you know, the same hadn't traditionally booked much heavy or metal music have come to us and said, do you want to do a stage at our festival as well? So it's kind of just snowballed from there, really. Boomtown is another great festival where we have a stage at, and we were hoping to do it again this summer, but obviously it's been pulled. But it's definitely
2021, baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we're hoping. But it's like what you were saying before. It seems like more people are consuming music. You know, I don't necessarily know why. It might be because more people are at home all the time. You know, people can't spend their money on going to see live gigs anymore, so they might choose to spend it on a record or on a t-shirt or something like that. So in terms of the label, we've managed to survive this year and do pretty well. So we got to just count our blessings that way, really.
Yes, you know what? Passion for music is a thing that won't go away. And you know what? And so people need music. You know, it's very important for the soul. It's good for the mental health. It's good. It's, you know, music is a gift. So yeah, I think it's not going to go away, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, over in the UK, you were saying the US has been the worst hit, but I think we're not too far behind. I think we were just the first country in Europe to just pass 50,000 deaths, which obviously not great. And we're right in the middle of our second national lockdown now. So, you know, you're not even supposed to leave your house except if you go into the shops and things like that. So
I can't believe all over the world, and there's not a vaccine yet, you know, right? It's got to be coming soon.
Yeah, well, there was news last week, wasn't there, about a vaccine that 90% works or something. I don't know how true it was, but hopefully that'll come about. But I don't know. You've got.
So what are you hearing in the industry about 2021 that it's a slim possibility, big possibility?
I mean, it's really hard to say. Yeah, I mean, I think just nobody seems to know for sure, obviously. But I think in terms of like festivals, what a lot of people seem to be saying is that they're going to have to develop like a test on the gate, so that when you turn up to the festival, they're only going to let in people that test negative. But obviously that means they need to come up with a test that's pretty instant. And again, it's going to be madness because you'll get people testing positive, and then it's like, you got to turn them away. You'll get bands testing positive, you'll get stage managers testing positive. It's going to be.
Yeah, it's all so vague, isn't it? And then obviously festivals have already carried over their lineups from this year to next year, and I think fans are they're holding on to this idea that they can get together next year, and just it will be really awful if everything gets cancelled again. So hopefully everyone can hang on and stay in lockdown and follow the rules for another 6 months or something, just as how long it takes to get a vaccine going. And
I was with one of Slipknot's former management team, and a guy from the team, and he manages actually Dolly Parton, a guy named Danny, a country legend, Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And he just bought a building that can it has 2 load-in docks at least, and 2 like big rooms. So he's going to start doing live stream festivals at this location, and just because you don't know when we're going to be able to have mass gatherings, and so he's already transferring over to that mindset and that formula. So I think that's going to have to happen, next summer, if we're not going to be playing large events, that, we're going to have to do something online. It's not perfect, but, we got to come up with something so people can have their outlet, and bands and crew can survive,
Yeah, people have to adapt, don't they? Because I think that's the real kicker with having 2 summers off, is that a lot of these festivals can survive one summer because they tell the fans to just hang on to your ticket, you can come next year. But if it's 2 in a row, it's suddenly like, are people going to do that? They're going to need their money back. And I'm worried that that's when you'll start to see a lot of these festivals just sort of cease to exist, and that will obviously be a really sad thing because there's so many. I mean, there's more festivals than ever. Last year it was every weekend in the summer there was like a choice of festival you could go to in the UK. It was brilliant.
Wow.
And just all gone almost overnight. It's kind of it's depressing, really. But what you were saying about adapting as well, that's one kind of interesting thing we've got involved in is Glastonbury Shangri-La. When it didn't happen this summer, they put on a virtual reality version of the festival, but it wasn't like your traditional live stream. It was like with the full VR headset, and so you go in there and they recreated the festival field in like a 3D world, and had the bands performing on stage, and you could turn around and talk to these other avatars and stuff, and it was pretty futuristic.
Nice.
Yeah, it was mad, really.
So you can have some fun with it, doing something different like that, and so hopefully we can do it in 2021, and but if not, we're going to have to do some tweaking and do some fun things like that.
Yeah, there's been all kinds of ideas, haven't they? Like they tried those drive-in shows for a minute, didn't they? But I'm not too sure if that's catching on. I even saw some of those gigs, where the fans are in those giant inflatable bubbles. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah.
Zorbing, isn't it?
Who was that, Mike?
I think it's called Zorbing. Basically, everyone's in a giant bubble, and
yeah.
So like 50 bubbles can be there at once, because the bubbles are so big, it takes up massive space. So maybe like 500 bubbles. And normally there'd be 10,000 people. You can only have 500 people with the bubbles.
Yeah. Can you imagine those mosh pits though? You just get people into the air, wouldn't you?
Dude, that would be so fun. I actually want to do it. I want to be a fan in a bubble at a Napalm Death show.
Yeah. That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite sweaty though, I imagine. Like, I don't know if they have holes to breathe or stuff. And like.
And if you're stuck, like, you got to get your phone and like call someone to get me out of here because you can't. Can you like walk and everything, or is it just like you have your arms and legs free, Mike? Is that how it is?
I think you're in a ball, like you're roaming around. I don't think you'd have, I mean, it'd be a nightmare to like regulate if
you definitely can't smoke either. You just pop it.
Imagine if you get claustrophobic or something.
Yeah.
You're screwed, huh?
Yeah. Well, I get really sweaty at gigs in the mosh pit, so I just think it would steam up and then it would just be dripping everywhere and it wouldn't.
Can't see.
Yeah.
It would be fun. Right out.
We'll see where that goes, but I don't think I'll be trying that anytime soon.
No, because Korn was supposed to be doing loads next summer as well, weren't they?
Oh my gosh, we were doing so many shows with System of a Down and festivals and stuff like that. We had honestly the biggest year Korn has had for probably over a decade. It was just, we built it up. We got new management and we built it up for like 5 years, and we were going to have the biggest year we were ever going to have, and it just all canceled. So
yeah, such a shame. We were looking forward to seeing you at a Download Festival because that's just down the road from us in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't been there in like 3 or 4 years. So it was like really, that's a highlight for us, you know, for so long playing that festival and just gone, you know, sucks. But, you know, Download will survive. It's got to survive.
Yeah, so, I think so. They've already started selling tickets for next year and announcing new bands all the time. So I think they're confident it will go ahead. We just got to just cross our fingers really and hope for the best. Because
what is that, like June 21?
That's right. Yeah, June 21. Yeah, it's quite. I think it's quite early in June. So it's right at the start of the summer. So I think the hope is that once the weather gets better, you know, the virus will kind of fuck off a bit rather than in the winter. It seems like it's worse, isn't it? And we're right in the depths of winter right now over here. It's like
you are, aren't you?
Yeah. It's getting dark at like 4:30. It's freezing cold. So I think that's why part of the reason why the virus is, you know, sort of coming back with a vengeance because everyone's just a bit ill and sniffly anyway. So
yeah. So what about when is it very sunny there? It's not very sunny like any time of the year, right?
Not really. It's like our summers aren't ever that great. We have like the occasional heat wave that's not even, you wouldn't even consider it hot, but obviously we're British, so we're like, oh, it's so hot, it's unbearable kind of.
You guys would you would probably pass out in Tennessee where I live. You would come here and it's like 100 degrees and all humidity. And it's like it's almost pointless to shower because you get out of the shower and you're sweating.
Yeah. It sounds quite nice though. I love the heat and the warm weather. Over here it's pretty grim, to be honest. It's like Mike was saying, the second the sun comes out from behind the clouds, everyone's like, quick, out in the garden, you know, quick, start a barbecue, there's a bit of sunshine. You got to make the most of it, really. But,
have you been to America? You've probably been to America, right?
I've been a couple of times. I've been to New York and LA, but only for like a few days at a time, just with work trips. So haven't really had much chance to see the country. But do you live in Nashville, is it?
Yeah, Nashville, and but I actually stay in LA like half the time too. So I'm never in one place for more than like a couple weeks. It seems like, except for 2020, where we can stay put more, you know, for a longer period of time. But yeah, it's when things are normal, I'm always on the go. I was actually gonna build a place in California because I'm there so much with Korn. Yeah. And but this year I shut it down, and the wood prices to build, like the price for the wood, it doubled because of there was fires in California and everything, and then the pandemic. And so I didn't want to spend double for the wood, so I just said screw it. But yeah, LA is pretty sunny though. Was it sunny when you went? Yeah,
it was nice. Yeah, I went down to Venice Beach and soaked it up.
Nice. What about New York? It's a trip, right? Isn't New York trippy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's where we have our US office. So I went out there to visit Al. Saw Black Sabbath at Madison Square Garden, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it's a great city. It's just, I don't know if it's one of the best places to be right now, is it, with the virus? I heard loads of people are just getting out of there because, you know, it's so expensive to live there. And suddenly people are like, well, I can't actually enjoy the city anymore. I've got to stay in my apartment. So why am I paying, you know, this silly amount of rent when I could get a house in the country for the same price? So yeah.
Same with Los Angeles. People are getting just tired of Los Angeles and then the lockdowns and everything. People want more freedom, you know. We're obviously trying to save people from, you know, getting into harm's way with, you know, a lot of people are vulnerable, you know, medically with the pandemic. And I guess you just don't know who's going to get hit hard. But some people believe that, you know, they want more freedom to be able to, you know, the LA is very strict. And like UK, you know, they're trying to save deaths from happening. So they're locking down the whole country. Well, California, you know, in America, all the different states kind of are doing their own thing. California is really strict. New York is strict because they're having a lot of cases, a lot of deaths. And so, and on top of that, it's the price of living. So I talk to people like all the time that are leaving LA, leaving California and New York. So yeah, it's just kind of common. But do you find that happening in in the UK? Is there like a mass exit from like London and going to more affordable places too, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a similar thing. I mean, I think this pandemic's going to basically have a huge cultural change for everyone, because it kind of like asks the question. It's like, why are we having these huge cities anyway? You know, like if you take London, for example, if you've ever been on the London Underground at rush hour, it's like just pure hell. You're just crammed up against loads of people, everyone going to work at the same time. And it's kind of like, you know, we've got the technology now to work from wherever, really. You know, you've got an internet connection. You don't have to go into this office with everyone else. I don't know. I think it could be, you know, even when the virus does disappear, I think you might see a big change in the way people just live their lives and, you know, not go into an office every day, not cram onto a train at the same time every day. And, you know, even things like, you know, climate change is obviously a big issue. You know, people don't need to commute because, you know, like I was saying, you can work over the internet. So why would you, you know, drive 2 hours in a car every single day? And you think about the amount of time as well that adds up for the average person. Say they're commuting to work and it's like an hour there, an hour back every single day. It's 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know, within a few months, you know, these hours really add up, and that's your life that's kind of just, you know, being taken away from you, just commuting when it's maybe not necessary. So I don't know.
So good change could happen from this pandemic, right? Makes us think about things that could make the world better even. So, I mean, with all the horrible things that are happening, we're going to learn something and hopefully grow from it and change things that we need to change all over the world. And maybe, like you said, help climate change and all that stuff. So time will tell, right?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some positive aspects from it, definitely. But
right.
I wanted to ask you, like, back in your early days, like when you were at school, when did you first sort of decide that you wanted to be a rock star? Was it an instinctual thing, or did it come along? Was there a trigger point that made you want to do it?
It was Christmas 1980, and my parents got me the AC/DC Back in Black album.
Yeah.
And that was it. I'm telling you, it was my new bike, my BMX bike, and AC/DC. And I would go ride my bike, and then I would come home and blare AC/DC in my room, because I was fortunate. We weren't rich, but we had like 4 rooms, and so I had my own room. My brother had his own room. There was just 2 of us, 2 siblings, and so I would just shut my door and blare it. And then I found out about Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And then I found out about Judas Priest. then I found out about Ozzy, and then Motley Crue and Rat and Van Halen and all of these 80s bands, you know, and, you know, it was my escape from, first of all, I just loved it. You know, you get into things when you're young, and you just, you know, whether it's video games or, you know, music or biking or skateboarding, you know,
Yeah.
and my obsessions was bikes, motorcycles, and metal music. And I'd say as I got older to teenage years, the bikes and motorcycles kind of faded away, and metal just got more passionate. But I remember staring at Back in Black, the back of the album where Angus is just like, you know, and it just looks like he's just like lost in music, you know? And I would listen to just the songwriting and the tone of Brian Johnson's voice, and then going back to the old records with Bon Scott, you know, and I was just like obsessed with it. And Bruce Dickinson's voice, and Randy Rhoads, and Ozzy's voice, you know, and Eddie Van Halen, and all these, I just got obsessed with it. And I would sit there and lock myself in my room and just play and play and play. And I learned Eruption probably at 12 years old, a little sloppy, but I could pretty much, you know, my brother even, like me and my brother hated each other. But when his friends came over, he would come to my room and say, "Hey, you little punk, play Eruption." And he would like be proud of me, even though he hated me. And, you know, and so that's what did it though. It was those bands in that era of time, Black Sabbath, you know, all that. But that was when Ozzy was like around 1981-ish in there, 82. You know, Ozzy was coming out with like Flying High Again and Blizzard of Oz, I think was first. Crazy Train was first, and I got obsessed with Ozzy for like a couple of years there, and man, that was it. And so growing up through my teenage years, I was pretty disciplined in my practicing guitar and everything, and so, you know, I didn't really look at rock stardom like, you know, being this bigger than life persona. I just loved music, and I would be so amazing if I could create music and be in a band like these bands that I love and make a living at it, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't think about the big, like, you know, egotistical rock star personality at all. I was just like, I would be thankful to be able to do music, you know? And little did I know, like all these years later, I was, you know, we formed Korn and made it, you know. It's just like, I still don't know how it all happened. It just kind of happened, you know?
Yeah. No, it's great to be able to do that and not have to, you know, do a normal job where you can just live off your dream basically and your passion. It must be a incredible thing.
It's just incredible. And, you know, the older you get too, the more grateful you are, and just like, you feel really blessed, you know, to be able to do it, because I feel like there's a lot more like people that I grew up with that were better players than me, you know, and they could play like everything Randy Rhoads did to a perfect T, you know, and I couldn't do that. But the band that I formed made it, and they didn't make it, you know. So you think about things like that, and you're just like, wow. Some people call it lucky. Some people call it blessed. You know, it's just very grateful, like I said. And so after being in Korn the first 10 years, we all grew into that rock star persona, you know, and we partied like crazy, and we were bigger than life, and everybody like loved us so much. Yeah. So we kind of lost ourselves, and that's why I had to rethink life, you know, and left the band for a while, and then got my foundation right, and found my faith, and found out what really mattered, you know, because it's like, how can I didn't understand how you can achieve your dreams but be miserable at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
So I figured it out. It must be the alcoholism, right? It must be the drug addiction. So I had to take care of that first. And so I did. And now it's all about the music and the fans.
I guess a little bit might be as well. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like once you achieve your dream, it's kind of like, well, what next? You know, maybe the chase, you know, sometimes is, you know, sometimes they say you shouldn't always get exactly what you want, because then, you know, what do I do now kind of thing. And you obviously, you got it really young, didn't you? You know, Korn absolutely blew up, and that must have been mad, you know, to be a young man and then be like world famous and, you know, playing to these huge crowds and having these fans adore you. It must have been a surreal experience.
Yeah, we climbed the mountain and we got to the top of the mountain. So the only thing left is down the mountain. You know, it's like, you know, and so I really had to, I think that happens a lot, you know, and if you think about people even younger, you know, like Justin Bieber's of the world, you know, they make it as a teenager. No wonder they crash and go crazy for a while. You know, how can a young mind take that, you know, getting to the top of the mountain in life at such a young age and going, what now, you know, and not being able to process that. So yeah, I mean, we got to the top, you know, in late 20s. So I feel bad for these kids that make it so early, and then they just kind of, you know, lose their mind for a while. But that's when you gotta really, you know, counseling, I think, helps a lot, because we're messed up. Humans are messed up. You know, we process things so crazy. It's like if we can be stuck at the bottom of the mountain, not getting anywhere and be a mess, and we can make it to the top of the mountain and be a mess, or in between the climb of the mountain and be a mess. So, you know, that's why we see so many problems with musicians and famous people, you know, having issues in life with substances or mental health, because it's a trip. It's a trip to figure out life, you know, in a lot of different ways. So, but we're all in this together, you know, and
no, I hear what you're saying. I think if I was like super successful, you know, when I was 20 or something and became a millionaire, there's a good chance, like, you know, I'd be dead by now because it's just like,
right.
What do you do with that money? You know, sometimes I wonder, maybe it's a good thing I don't have a bank account full of loads of money, because, you know, it just keeps you on track slightly.
Right. To achieve, you're going after that, you know, climbing that mountain of the dream, you know. And how old are you guys, by the way? 20s?
I'm 29. I'm 30 in a couple of months. So it's quite daunting, actually, because it's quite a big milestone, isn't it? 30. I don't know. It kind of feels like it's finally the end of my youth. You know, I probably should have grown up by now, but it's like I really, really should have grown up by the time I'm 30. I feel so. How old are you, Mike?
I'm only 26, so I've got
not far behind.
A bit longer to go. But it's daunting. I do get it. Obviously not like as badly as you, but yeah, it's daunting.
Okay, listen, children. You guys are young pups still.
Yeah.
So I just turned 50, and I don't even care about age anymore, because I'm gonna be young inside till I die. You know, I'm gonna have white dreadlocks and look like Gandalf when I'm 80 years old.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna have tattoos with sagging skin. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to being like really, really old man. Actually, I don't know why. Just sitting around. But no, yeah, like you're saying, being young at heart is good. It's the bit in between where you got to sort of I don't know, take on some responsibility, I guess, and man up a little bit. That's the transition, isn't it? That's hard, but I mean,
yeah, family. Any of you guys married or like a serious girlfriend or kids or anything?
I have a serious girlfriend, but no kids, not yet. No, but
yeah, same. Just girlfriend. That's the stage
yeah,
we're at.
I don't know if she's going to watch this, so I can probably say, but I don't think we're too far off from, like, you know, the next step, like, you know, growing up and doing things like marriage, and maybe a few years later kids and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like turning 30 is like turning the page on the next chapter almost. And you know, 20s are behind you now. You gotta be a real man, Tom. Stop messing around, kind of thing.
I would say go slow, because my marriage lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
So you want a lifelong marriage. So yeah, go slow, man. Make sure it's the right thing, because yeah, divorce sucks. Divorce is really hard, especially when there's kids involved and all that. But
yeah, no, my dad's been divorced a couple of times, so I sort of don't want to follow in his footsteps necessarily. So yeah, there is that apprehension about it. You know, you want to get it right and not make the same mistakes. But
yeah, my parents have been married something like somewhere around 55 years. So that's a miracle, you know?
Yeah, and it's quite rare these days as well, isn't it, to have couples that stick it out that long? It's something to admire, definitely.
100%.
So, I mean, obviously in your early days of Korn, when everything was blowing up and you were touring the world, and, you know, I know you struggled with addiction and stuff in the past. It's you can hear it in the last Love and Death album, especially. That's a lot of the themes that run through that. I mean, it must have been a pretty wild time back then. Like a lot of fun, I guess, but maybe pretty dark at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the early days. I was just talking to someone yesterday about the Deftones and Korn, and we were unsigned bands back in the day, and we found out about each other, and we were blowing up in LA area, and Deftones were blowing up in San Francisco area in California, you know. And so back in those days, it was just drinking all the time. And when you're young like that, you can do it, you know, and it was fun. You wake up hungover and, like, you know, you maybe puked the night before, but you wake up and you're sick a little bit. Then you get some food, you start feeling better, and then you do it again the next night. And it's just hanging out with the friends and whatnot. And so, yeah, that was cool. Like doing stuff like that. I mean, it was fun. You know, it's not the most healthy lifestyle, but for us, it was fun. And then when the drugs came involved and those types of addictions happen, that's when it starts to eat away at your life. And it happened to all of us, you know, all the guys in Korn and all the bands we toured with back in the day. It was just like alcohol and cocaine everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And not everybody did it, but most people did it. And, you know, that party starts to get old pretty quick, you know? And you start to see just the personalities of yourself and the friends that you know in your band and other bands, start to see their personalities deteriorate and people turn into different people, you know? It's really dark and kind of weird because, you know, you start off having fun.
Slippery slope as well, kind of, like you said, you start off on the beers, then maybe, you know, you progress to something else, or maybe, you know, some weed or something, then before you know it, you're on, you know, I don't know, you're on the mushrooms, then you're having coke, and then the methamphetamines, and it's just step by step, isn't it? You know, each little step down the ladder. That's how it can happen.
Look, I think people in your generation, a lot more from what I've seen, there's like, you know, marijuana is getting legalized in America, like all over the place, and decriminalized at the very least, you know. And so I think people, you're always going to have your addicts that graduate into harder drugs and everything. But I just trip out on the people that can, like, drink responsibly and even smoke weed responsibly or whatever. You know, it's a crazy thing. I think your generation can do that better than ours. Our generation, it was like, the more the better, you know, the more the merrier. So it was like, go big or go home, you know? And so, but yeah, it's just, I watched all of my friends just, personalities just eat, you know, they ate themselves away with the drugs and everything. So, but the good news is a lot of us made it out, you know, most of us made it out, and kind of got past that thing that tore us down. You know, like, you know, we've unfortunately lost, you know, some great people in the music industry from, you know, substances, mental health, suicide, or whatnot, you know. But I think as a whole that we've learned a lot and everything. And so hopefully, you know, your generation can get a handle on that stuff better, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a powerful thing, addiction, isn't it? Once it sort of gets a hold of you, I mean, it can be very, very hard to get rid of it. I mean, it takes a lot of willpower and a lot of motivation, and I don't know. Sometimes you need like an event or a really terrible thing to happen, and then it's sort of like a wake up call, isn't it? You know, it's like, right, that's it. I'm on the edge here. Did you have a moment like that where it was suddenly, you know, you're looking in the mirror one night and it's like, what am I doing here? I need to change my ways. Was it a sudden thing like that?
Yeah, I was, like you said, I graduated from all that stuff. You know, I went from alcohol to, you know, weed was always around. And then I found the Vicodin and Xanax and all the pills, and then, you know, cocaine, and then I graduated to meth. And I'd say 2 years on meth. And my ex-wife, she got hooked on meth big time, and she left the family, and I got full custody of my daughter. And so I got sober for 2 years when my daughter was young, because I was the only parent, you know. But I'm touring with Korn all over the world, but my daughter's at home, and I had to hire nannies or have family members watch her while I'm touring with Korn. And so I got responsible and stopped drinking and doing drugs and everything. And then when she was like 3 years old or 4, I fell back into methamphetamines, and that's what did it. A 2-year addiction with meth. And I came home off a Korn tour and saw her just, you know, I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, who am I? You know?
Yeah.
She doesn't need a meth addicted father. And so that's when everything changed. I was like, either I'm going to die from drugs, or, you know, end up like one of those people on the streets or something, or I'm going to have to get sober in some way, you know? And so I started working on it then. But that was a wake up call, you know? And I think Monkey from Korn he might have been like 3 to 5 years after me. That happened to him too, where he was just like, he had an epiphany. He was like, I don't want to be this person anymore. And he had an awesome woman in his life that was sober, and she kept on, you know, trying to work with him to be sober. And she just was like, I can't do this anymore. And he was like, I'm going to lose her if I don't. This wonderful woman, I'm going to lose her if I don't change. And so he changed right then, and he's married to her now, and they have 3 kids. They just, you know. And so Jonathan got sober way back in the day. He was always sober. He would watch us party. He'd be so sober that he would grab our Coke and like pour it on the table and chop it up for us and watch us do it.
Wow. Yeah.
It was like his fun. He's like, I can't do it, so I'll watch you. And so yeah, Fieldy, he got sober. You know, it's everyone like kind of around the same time, and like around the a 5-year mark for us, you know. And I remember when I came back to Korn about 8 years ago, and talking to Chino from Deftones, and he said he got into some pretty bad stuff too. And he said when he was in a dark spot, he had read my book, you know, and he was like, he goes, I felt like I was reading my life when I read your book. And so it was good to hear that he got, you know, sober and clean, all in that like probably 5 to 7 years that all of us in Korn did too, you know.
Yeah, so there's a lot of parallels there.
Whether we play, you know, whether we've gone out and played shows with Deftones and some of these other bands from the past or not, we're all old friends, you know. And like Chino and his whole family were out at our show just last Portland in February. in Portland, Oregon. Him and his family came to the show, and we all hung out. So it's like, it's good to see our peers in the music industry to become sober and to discover what really matters in life as well, you know?
Yeah, that's nice. It's good to see people get over something like that when it can be, you know, when they get so close to the edge. I mean, did you have any moments where it was, you know, close near-death experiences almost, where you did push it that far and it got to the point where, you know, you're lucky to still be around? Were there any moments like that?
Yeah. One night in my house, I thought I was having a heart attack, and I went from feeling totally normal to I was doing lines all night by myself, and my body just starts shaking, like,
yeah.
And I turned, like, it wasn't a little bit of sweat. I was drenching sweat. Everything was dripping wet, and it was like, it was cool in the house, but everything was sweating in my whole body and it was shaking. And I went to the hospital, and they did all these checks in the heart, on my heart and everything. And they said I didn't have a heart attack, but they said there was something going on with my heart. And I told them I've been doing meth all night. I just, you know, be honest, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a wake up call too. That was around the same time my daughter, when I was looking at my daughter saying, like, who am I, you know? And so it kind of all happened at the same time, where I was like, things need to change now. Like right now, I can't keep going like this, or I could be dead in a year, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I know this is a heavy topic and whatnot, but once you get over that, life is amazing. You know, ever since then, I've been sober for the most part. I tried drinking a couple times, but I'm really good at it. So I drink a lot, and so I can't do it at all. Like, I tried to have some wine, and I ended up like just in like a bar hopper, just getting wasted. Even like 3 years ago or something. I just can't drink. I really love it too much. But
some people just have those personalities, don't they? Just have addictive personalities where it's like, that's the, you know, like you said, you can't just have one glass of wine, you can't just have one beer. It's suddenly like, that's it, and you're away. Some people are just born like that, aren't they? And other people, they seem to be able to handle it a lot easier. It's just
go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, dude, when I feel that warmth hit my body from like whatever, whiskey or a mixed drink or whatever, I'm just like, give me another. And I just like to build on it, and then it keeps going. It feels too good. And then the next day I'm like so depressed, and I've like, it's like even like bad thoughts of harming myself. That's what alcohol does to me. I can't drink at all. But the crazy thing is, I don't have a problem being around it. Every night on tour, I'll go and hang out. Like, there's people drinking where I live on my bus, and sometimes I'll grab their drink and smell it, give it back to them.
Yeah.
So I just know I can't drink. So I'm thankful that I'm free like that, where it doesn't bother me to be around people like that. You know?
That obviously, all the addiction and the drug problems and that contributed to you to leaving Korn eventually.
Yeah. Yep. And you know, the biggest thing was, my daughter was 4 or 5 years old at the time, and her mom was out of her life. And like I said, I was hiring nannies, and grandparents were watching her when I was on tour.
Yeah.
And it was a point where I was like, she needs me at home every day. I can't tour anymore. You know, I gotta get away from the band. There's a lot of drugs going on. There's a lot of like alcohol and whatnot. I'm not strong enough to be around that. And my kid needs me at home. And, you know, I found my faith that helped get me strong, and kind of like it just unpacked the meaning of life, you know, for me. And so I just was at home, woke up with my daughter every day, made her lunch and cooked her breakfast, took her to school, picked her up, and did some solo music while she was at school. And that was it. That was life for a few years until she grew up, you know, and then I got back to music when she was older. So It was all for her, man. When you guys have kids, one day you're going to be like, I understand what Ed's doing. It's all about this miracle that you brought into the world. It becomes about them and not about you, you know?
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Like, you know, before you have kids, you're looking out for yourself, and then suddenly you're not the number one priority anymore. Your reason on to be on this service to look after your children. So,
Yep.
do you think your daughter, in some ways, saved your life? Because without that, you would have carried on down that path, and maybe not ended up so good.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like she was, you know, a big part of me feels like she was sent into this world as like a little angel to, you know, I raised her as a little girl, but at the same time, this little girl was raising me.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how that works, but she's the angel sent from God to help me, man.
Yeah.
I really look at it like that.
And obviously another part of the aspects that saved you was you finding your faith.
Yeah. Yep. And I know it's crazy because I'm like, there's a lot of organized religion out there.
Yeah. And
a lot of it is very harmful. And so I do not like to get lumped in with that at all. But my faith, yeah. My thing was like, I hate religion, but God, if you're real, then show me you're real, because I'm going to be dead, you know? And all I can say is my life is 100% better now since I said that. And so to me, that shows the answer that I received. My life is better. I love life. Music is what's important with my daughter. And, you know, I raised her, she's 22, and now it's all about the music and connecting with the fans, and not about the drugs and the ego. It's all about everybody else and just enjoying the music and being able to do this, you know? And so life is good, man.
Yeah.
Life is good. And I'm proof you can, like, there's probably people watching that maybe stuck in some, you know, a mental health crisis, an addiction or whatever. I'm living proof that I was so like buried into misery that, you know, I came out of it, and life is so good right now that if you just focus and work on it, and you find, you know, that faith that you can be that better person, you know, anybody could change.
Yeah. I mean, what advice would you give to people, like you said, who might be watching right now and feel, you know, lower than low and maybe grappling with addiction and things like that? What advice would you give to them?
I would tell them that, you know, do anything you can to get to the place where you can believe again, you know, and find forgiveness for yourself and others. And that's a big key, because I think we carry a lot of, you know, bitterness towards people and ourselves for making mistakes, and self-hatred is a big thing, I think, with mental health, you know. And I would say my daughter's advice she gives to everybody is really good, because she suffered a lot of that stuff, suicidal ideation and depression and whatnot. And what helped her was, like, you get around like-minded people that help you, like, just come up with strategies and find things that you love to do, and just be around positive people and positive things every day, and you will come out of that, you know. People sometimes they get stuck and stay around like negative friendships that they're toxic. You know what I mean? There's some friends, even I bet you guys can think of friends in your past that maybe, you know, that some people that you had to get away from because they were toxic. And I think relationships that are toxic will drag you down. So it's a big step to get away from toxic relationships and find new people that can lift you up as a person instead of like tear you down, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
with love and positive people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very important. Life is too short, man. Life is too short to be around people that are just going to be negative energy for you. And like, let's say that, And it might not even be forever. Think about the Korn thing, the Korn guys that I was hanging out with, and I was in the band for 11 years. I got sober. I had to leave the band. They were toxic for me. They were still a mess, and they were, bad energy.
Yeah.
And so I left them and went with my daughter for a while. Years later, they did the same thing. They got sober and they got rid of the toxic people in their life and the bad energy and all that. And so now we were reconciled because, we're put back together. So maybe it's like sometimes you got to leave relationships for a certain amount of time. You can come back to them later. So, but that's hard for people to do, to end relationships, that are bad for them. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know, like negative. It's like a magnet. Negative attracts negative,
Yeah.
But
well, it's a huge sacrifice, isn't it, to walk away from something like Korn, one of the biggest metal bands around. You have to sacrifice that to move on with your life. So
it was hard. It was so hard. It was like, who does that? Korn was thriving. Who walks away at the top? You usually walk away when the band's like washed up and no one's come to the shows. Then you walk away. But everybody kept coming to the shows, and I'm like, I gotta leave this. And then everybody thought I was brainwashed at the time. They're like, head snorted one too many lines of cocaine and left the band, But it all worked out. Look at all these years later. So lastly, just to sum it all up, I would say anybody like going through something, never give up. The people that make it to the other side are the ones that don't quit. So never give up on yourself, people.
Yeah, well, that's good advice. Was there anyone in particular that turned you on to the religion, or did you kind of how did that happen? Because to go from not liking organized religion to then finding your faith, what was the moment that got you into that?
It was crazy because there was one church in California that really was like inviting, and a lot of people were like, oh, they're going to use you and stuff like that. But I found a real connection with a personal relationship with God,
Yeah.
And once that happened, a few months later, I honestly felt very led to leave that place quickly, because I felt like it was kind of I don't know, there was just some negative things going on there, put it that way. Yeah. And so I got out of there and I just moved to a different city and just focused on raising my kid. And so it's a thing where you kind of got to follow your gut, and a lot of people they'll try religion or whatever, and they'll encounter that organized religion type of messy situation at a church or whatever, and then they'll give up on it altogether. I didn't give up. I was like, I need this, so I'm gonna go discover it for myself. I started reading books, and I just discovered it for myself, and how it worked for me. But I think it was a gift that was given to me to be able to help me get to this place where I'm at now. I'm very thankful, and just I'm just glad that I'm in this place, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't got all the answers. I can just tell you that everything worked out at the end,
Yeah. No,
I'm still figuring it out as I go, to tell you the truth. I'm like, wow, it wasn't the perfect journey, going from, the crazy Korn lifestyle to my sobriety and getting to this point here. It wasn't the easiest journey, but it just worked out. I had some really hard times through it all. And I just kept trusting and waiting and believing that it was going to work out. And every bad thing ended up getting better. And my daughter, I watched her go through horrible depression, even 7 years ago, Yeah. And I just was like, gosh, this has got to work out. And it did. And now she's helping depressed kids like she was 7 years ago, so it's just, there's always challenges that get thrown at us, but we just got to hang on and trust, because all things do turn around and become good eventually.
Yeah. That's amazing though that you said your daughter is now helping out people who are in the same boat as her. That's, you know, that's a pretty cool full circle to go around, isn't it? You know, like you were saying before, she was an angel sent to save you, and now she's saving
Right.
others. Yeah, it's a nice.
You know, it's crazy. There are other musicians, kids that she's talking to and helping, and it's just a really full circle thing, you know.
Yeah.
And she has a YouTube channel, and she's got like 80,000 subscribers, and she's killing it. And she talks about like mental health on her channel, and
yeah, give it a shout out if you want. What's the name of the channel?
Yes, it's Jennea Welch, Jennea Welch. She does some animal videos too. She has a ferret. Do you guys have ferrets in the UK?
Yeah, I don't have any personally, but I know people do have them as pets. Yeah, I have a cat and a dog, but no ferrets.
So she made she built like a ferret mansion for her ferret. It's like this tall. Put it together for like 40, I don't know, probably 45-minute video or 20-minute video or something like that. It's got like 1 million views.
Wow. Oh yeah, I'll put a link in the description of this video then. I want to check that out after this.
Yeah. And she like, it's so hilarious. It's her putting this thing together, and all those views are not Korn fans or anything. It's just like animal lovers that love her videos.
That's awesome. And yeah, like you said, it goes full circle, and it's kind of like, you know, I believe that everything happens for a reason, and even you know, the horrible negative stuff that happens in life, you know, later on it can serve you well and can turn into a positive. So it seems like it's kind of, you know, one of those situations. But
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah, that's what that's the snappier way.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. But,
that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, to bring it round to Love and Death and this new album, I mean, I think it's such a good album because it kind of ties into that thing where it's like, you know, you've got the dark and you've got the light, you know, it's even down to the band name itself, Love and Death, you know, you've got the really nice harmonies, and then you've got, you know, the heavier bits that are more like Korn. Was that an intention at the start, or did it just kind of work out that way because that's how your life has kind of been?
I've always loved beauty and darkness. Just the melodies and the sound of music of beauty and darkness, you know. And I think it's just in me. Yeah, I think it's just and it's Jason from Breaking Benjamin and JR, and you know, the other writers are Keith Wallen from Breaking Benjamin and Joe Rickard, who co-produced it. It's just it's something that's in us that we love, and it comes out really easy. And so to me, it just makes me feel like passion, you know, for life, for music, for lyrical content and everything, you know, just that the sweetness of the melody, and then power, you know. I love it. Nothing makes me just lose it, you know, more than that, in a good way. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what music does to you. You're just like, ah!
It's like the yin and yang, isn't it? It's almost, it's more powerful.
It makes you feel something deep inside. And that's the style of the Love and Death that you guys are putting out over there and on Earache and all those songs. You've heard the record, right? You're the whole record?
I've been listening to it all week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. No,
it's just like, you know, I was rehearsing White Flag the other day, and I was walking all over the studio like, shut up. It's just like, it feels so good. And a side note, it was so, my God, it was so amazing to be in the studio and play music again. I was rehearsing with the band, and man. And so, yeah, just the style of the Love and Death album, and it makes me go crazy and lose it. And I love it. So I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to do the best I can.
No, I get you. I totally understand.
That beauty and darkness is just, that combination it's like sweetness and power all mixed together.
Yeah, they complement each other, don't they? If you had an album of pure darkness or an album of pure beauty, it almost wouldn't resonate as well when you have that contrast between the two. But my favourite's Lo Lamento so far, I think.
Oh, really?
But yeah, but my favourites kind of, when I listen to albums, my favourites will change, every few days, but that's the one I've been returning to the most. And obviously Down is the single that's just been released today.
Yes. You know which one I really like too is Death of Us.
Yeah.
I really like that one too. And so I'm with you, man. I appreciate you guys, man, picking it up and listening to it. And I can't wait to hang out with you guys in Europe.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to, leave the country again soon, because that's not even an option right now. We're stuck on this little shitty island.
Yep.
But yeah, it'd be great to come over to Nashville or to LA one day and hang out. But
yes, sir. Yeah, 100%.
You guys probably go quite far back. When did you meet? Well, how did you meet the guys from Love and Death?
Okay, so in that period when I was away from Korn, I was writing a lot of music. I decided to do something different, and I was working on synthesizer. How do you say that word? Oh my God, I was screaming so much yesterday.
Synthesizer.
Don't laugh at me, JR. How do you say it? Synthesizer. Synthesizer.
It's a tricky one.
Boys and girls, say it with me. Synthesizer.
The more you say it, the more it doesn't sound right, does it?
But I started writing music on those things. And I don't know, I just wanted to do something different. And I was writing some songs, and I took them to Jason, who wasn't in Breaking Benjamin then. He was producing, and he listened to it, and he some of the stuff, and he's like, it sounds pretty cool. And he puts a guitar in my hand. He goes, why don't you try this again? And I start playing the guitar more again. And so I credit him with the rediscovery of my love for the guitar. Because I basically, when I left Korn, I kind of put the guitar down for a while. Not totally, but for the most part I did. So I met him probably 2011. Started writing music with him. I met JR, who you met, who was here a second ago, in around 2011 or 12. And he started touring with the project, and he was like a teenager then. So he's older now. And so we've been pulling out like his gifts and creativity. And so he's doing more vocals and more writing on this new project than on the past. And so Isaiah, the new drummer, I just met him like a few months ago. So we had our former bass player was Valentine, and we actually haven't seen him in forever. And we just ran into him yesterday, and we're going to eat dinner at his house tonight in like 3 hours, the old bass player. And so, yeah, it's basically been me and Jason since way back then. And then JR came into the picture, and he's been working on it. So us three pretty much this whole time, with some outside writers that were helping too, like Joe Rickard. He played with Red, a band called Red. And what was the other band he just played drums for, JR? In Flames. He played for In Flames for a year or two. And so he quit touring and stepped away from In Flames, and now he's producing and mixing. So he was a key writer on our last record 8 years ago, and a big writer on our new record. And Keith Wallen is in Breaking Benjamin with Jason, and he wrote a lot on this new record too.
Wow.
So
it's a real collaborative effort then.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's because I love it, man. It's like, growing up in the 90s with all those bands, it was like every band kind of wrote together and stayed in their group. And when I moved to Nashville, it's like everybody in Nashville writes with each other. It's like a big writing fest everywhere, a lot of country music or whatnot, but
yeah,
I found that a lot of the rock music, that group of people were doing it a lot too. So I started doing that, and I found that there was a lot of cool like collaborations that that could come out of it. And, you know, because, you know, people, you know, have different gifts, and some people hear things differently than you. And I think it's a cool thing. And it's fun for me. Korn has done that a little bit too. Like last record, Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, wrote with Jonathan on You'll Never Find Me, our first single. And so I think it's just a cool thing to do, man. I think some good things come out of it. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah, I've known those guys for a while though.
Because you do vocals on the Love and Death as well, obviously. So how was that changing from being the guitarist in Korn to you know, being the vocalist? Was that what was that transition like?
It's hard because you know, I'm not like a trained vocalist or whatnot, but I really love vocals, and so it's kind of a love-hate thing with singing with me sometimes, or maybe love, dislike, maybe hate is not the word, but vocally it's kind of, you know, some songs are easier to sing than others, put it that way, but it's fun. I had a blast. We were rehearsing yesterday because, you know, the new music's coming out, so we got to get prepared and whatnot. And I had a good time, and I feel like my vocals are doing better than they were last record, you know, so it's pretty cool. But it's hard to transition, but it's also fun.
Nice. I wanted to ask you as well. There's a cover on the album as well, isn't there?
Yep.
Tell us about that one.
Why?
Well, it was kind of unexpected for me. I mean, it's one of my favorite ones on the record because I think it is. I'm probably get slaughtered for saying this on the Earache channel, but I think it's a great song. You know, it's Justin Bieber, and it is a great song.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
how the Earache metalheads will react to that, because he's kind of a fashionable guy to hate on, really, isn't he? But
he is. But DJ Snake actually wrote that song. Justin Bieber is only a guest.
Okay.
So maybe that'll give us more street cred. But so I have always loved that song. And JR Barras, the other singer in Love and Death, he brought it and he did a demo of it. And I was like, 100% we were doing that song. And just the heavy riff, you're like, oh, this is a cool heavy riff. And then it goes into that. And you're just like, what? And so, and I got some good screams on it and everything. And I was like, we need to get Lacey Sturm on this song. And I hit her and her husband Josh up, and it was like instant yes. And so it was just fun, man. We thought it was a fun thing to do. The last record we did Devo Whip It cover.
Yeah. So
we wanted to do a cover. We actually did a Post Malone cover as well. Cool. But I don't know if we finished it or whatnot, but the Bieber cover just felt more fun. It was like, just totally take a pop song and crush it heavy. You know, it just sounds way more fun to us. So that's all. But yeah, I wanted to see what you guys thought. I didn't know if like you would.
Well, yeah, we really liked it, didn't we? But that was, and then we were told, I think Jenny pointed out, oh, actually, it's a Bieber cover. And we're like,
yeah, well, we didn't realise at first.
Oh,
did we? I thought I'd heard this before.
Crazy. No, we just thought it was like just another like heavy as fuck track. And then yeah, it got thrown out.
But did you want, Mike? Did you want to hate it when you found out Bieber sang that?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but it's a good enough track to get away with it. He's not on it, so it's fine.
Just tell yourself that it's DJ Snake's song.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, we'll probably get mixed reactions from it, but you know, we love doing it, and it was fun to us, and it's crushing. And with Lacey singing on it, and there's a cool story that goes along with it too, that I really can't really talk about it, but when we're gonna release probably a video for it and everything, and we'll talk more about it. But there's a cool story that goes along with it, with like a kind of a mental health angle that I'll talk to you guys about later. But yeah, I can't really talk about it right now. But
yeah, no problem.
So yeah, but I love it, man, and it's a fun moment in the record.
Cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was one of those ones where it's just stuck in your head for ages, and I thought I'd heard it before, and then when it was pointed out to me that it was a cover, I was like, I know it. But
That's so funny.
Cue the pylon in the comments below going, Tom's a Justin Bieber fan, get him or something.
Yeah. Come on. Be honest with us, Tom.
You just reminded me of another question I wanted to ask you. Quite unrelated subject, but Digby, the owner of Earache, he wanted to ask you this question actually, which was to do with a cover that Korn did, or he thinks Korn did in the early 90s. Did Korn ever cover Morbid Angel? Because he seems to think that you did, but then it never got released, and there were rumors that there was a cover knocking around. Did that ever happen? Or
we always would play, like mess around at sound check with Morbid Angel songs, but I don't really think that we did a cover, but I will find out.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So were you into a lot of that 90s death metal stuff? You know, you mentioned the bands before, but some of the Earache bands like Morbid Angel and Entombed and Napalm Death and Bolt Thrower and all these guys, were you listening to them back then?
A little bit I did, but like the guys in Korn, Jonathan loved it.
Yeah.
And so it was a little heavier for me, but I would definitely play it at soundcheck with them. And there's some songs I loved, but I could take it in small doses, put it that way.
Yeah, nice. Because
it didn't help my depression at all. It was so scary.
Can't imagine it would do, really. But I mean, what do you think of there's recently been a bit of a resurgence of like a new wave of new metal, if that's the way I can put it, with some bands. Have you heard many of these? Like we've signed a band recently called Tala. I don't know if they're on your radar at all, but they're very new metal-y. They call themselves New Core, which is kind of a mixture between new metal and hardcore.
That's amazing. I think I've heard them before, honestly, and I love the resurgence of it. I've never understood why there's so much, I guess, different opinions and controversy over the new metal term or whatever. It's just like, to me, it's just, it's just music. And I don't know, some people just say that new metal is they don't like to remember that time frame of metal, I don't know, but it does very well. And like Korn is still thriving, killing it. And I think that it should come back, and that your guys' generation and younger, should grab some influences off it and bring it back, because it's fun. You guys remember, it was fun music, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing a second wave of new metal, is because, especially a band like Tala, it's the metal they grew up on, and so now they're doing it themselves. But you're right, there is a lot of elitism in metal, isn't there, where people can get quite snobby on it, and they think a certain type of metal is better than another type. But new metal's just fun, yeah. With the DJ element, and it's just great live as well. It's great on record and really popular.
That is such a good way to put it. I've never heard it put like that. The elitism in metal, it's crazy, right? It's like, good, have your opinions and everything, but just, you shouldn't just talk trash on something you don't like a different type. Like, say for death metal, for instance, with death metal, it's like, it wasn't my favorite thing, but I appreciated, parts of it. And we would even, take influences of death metal and put it in Korn and whatnot. It's like people just seem to like get in their groups and then trash the other side, which is, I guess it's human nature, but
it seems worse with metalheads though. We get it a lot on the Earache channel, because basically anything we release that isn't Bolt Thrower, people are like, what, this isn't heavy enough, what are you doing? Earache? Oh, Earache's dead. And we're like, well, no, it's just another type of metal. You don't have to like it. You like your Bolt Thrower. We do all types. Earache's done 600 releases now and been around for 30 years. So there's not too many types of metal that we haven't released, but you'll always get the haters in the comments no matter what you do. But
isn't it crazy? It's like, we were reading comments last night, or I wasn't, but the JR was, and it's like you could have 1,000 great comments, and then you read one negative comment, and it could ruin your week. You know,
that's the one you remember. Yeah. No, we actually had one on because, like I said before, we've only just started this podcast thing, and we were a bit nervous about doing it. And to be honest, the reaction's been pretty good so far. People have been quite kind, but there was this one guy who left a comment last night, and it's been rattling around my head ever since. He basically said, "What did he say?" He goes, "That guy looks like he lives in his mum's basement. Get someone better to do the podcast." And I was like, "All right, okay, well, brilliant. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the encouragement."
Right? And you know what the irony is? That guy probably lives in his parents' basement, and he's typing that comment to you.
Probably, yeah. But it's hard to ignore them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's why I don't read them. I never read comments. Even Korn, man. You know, we do very well, and you know, sometimes one of the band members will go and read the comments of first single, like a single comes out, and it'll be all bummed out. But the single will go on to be like top 5 on radio and, you know, millions of views on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
But that one comment will mess with them, you know?
Yeah, it's the one that sticks in your head. But yeah, cool. Well, we'll let you go in a minute. But is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Brian?
I think we covered it all, man. It's just we're really stoked. Like I said, this was an album, like, you know, being written for the last 6 years off and on in Los Angeles, Chicago, Nashville, Phoenix, and you know, we're really stoked that we got to be able to put the finishing touches and deliver it. And thank you to Earache again for believing in it and helping us push this out. And so yeah, we're stoked. We're just barely getting started. You know, Down is out, and it's just going to grow from here. We're going to be working on putting stuff out probably for the next year, you know, with new singles and whatnot. So we're really excited.
And then hopefully a festival summer next summer when this pandemic's blown over.
We'll see, man. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and pray and hope for the best, you know?
Yeah. So for people watching, the Down video is now on the Earache YouTube channel. I'll put it in the description, but you can also pre-order the album from earache.com/loveanddeath. There's loads of different vinyl variants on there. We've also got this really nice deluxe box set, which is limited. So yeah, go grab that. I've got one question. It's a bit silly, Brian, but I ask it to everyone on here. But what do you think of, do you believe in aliens and alien life?
I mean, I think there's there are people believe in UFOs and whatnot. A UFO is an unidentified flying object, right?
Yeah.
There's some trippy stuff out there. What it is exactly, nobody can tell, because after centuries and centuries, no one can put their finger on and say what it is. So, you know, I believe in angels, demons. I believe in the supernatural life. 100% there is life that I already know it, because I've had experiences where there's life outside of the human life, in a supernatural realm. And so I totally believe in that stuff. But aliens walking around with like big heads and big eyes and stuff like that, like in the movies, nah, I don't believe in that. But I believe in something out there.
Have you heard some of the theories that you know, a lot of like religion and and Bible stories, you know, angels visiting and stuff like that? People think that might actually be aliens. Or
I've read books on that and stuff, and
it's interesting.
You know what, I think people are addicted to conclusion, and like people want to be right. You know, that's why all these different religions and everything, they want to be like, no, we're right. No, we're right. And they split up and they go and they form all these different religions and whatnot. But I'm not addicted to wanting or needing all the answers to puff up my own ego. You know, I'm a man that embraces mystery, you know? So, and I want to learn. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be constantly learning. So yeah. It's a trip what Tom DeLonge is doing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I saw his on Joe Rogan, the podcast. I don't know if you've seen that, but he talks for about 2 or 3 hours about his whole alien thing. And it's, I mean, he's obviously a huge believer in it. But who is anyone to knock him, really? Because, like you said, nobody knows.
There's been a lot of mocking and making fun of him, and then I just saw some articles recently saying, could Tom DeLonge have been right the whole time?
Yeah,
right.
It's like you said, anyone who pretends to have the answers, they don't know. Nobody knows. So life is a mystery. So if you pretend you know it all, then you're probably wrong.
Look, I'm all about Christ. I believe in the supernatural life, but I embrace mystery and I want to learn. So teach me. I'm a student of life, just like everybody else should be.
Yeah. Cool. Nice one, Brian. Well, it's been great to chat to you, and we'll have to do this again sometime, maybe when we get a bit closer to album release.
Yes, let's do it, man. And let's hook you up with Jason and JR in the near future, and we'll talk to you guys soon. And please give our gratitude to everybody at Earache.
Will do. Yeah, no, we're all really excited to work on it. It's going to be a good one. So.
Okay, awesome, man.
Cool. See you later.
Thank you, guys. See you, Mike. Talk to you guys soon.